Hello everyone. A school is about to start. Studies, assessments, exams, online classes, lot of new things this year. So, ഈ വർഷം തുടങ്ങുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് let's talk about a small topic called learning styles. This topic will help you to understand what is our personal learning style and how and what kind of techniques you can use for your particular learning style to perform better and well this year. So, what is this learning style? ലേണിംഗ് സ്റ്റൈൽസ് എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഓരോരുത്തരുടെയും ഒരു പ്രത്യേക മെത്തേഡ് ഓർ പ്രിഫേർഡ് മെത്തേഡ് ഓഫ് ലേണിംഗ് ആൻഡ് പ്രോസസ്സിംഗ് ഓഫ് ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ, when I say the word lion, what is the first thing that came to your mind? Is it the image of a lion, the picture of a lion, or is it the sound or the roaring of a lion? Or did the letters LION come into your mind? Or did you even see a lion chasing an animal? So this shows that we all have a different style of learning, and processing of information is different for all of us. So this makes us understand what is our preferred style of learning and the techniques that we can use to perform well this academic year. So let's go a little more into detail on what are the different types of learning. There are basically four different styles of learning. VARK: visual, auditory, reading or writing, kinesthetic. These are the four different types of learners. Let's talk about the first category of learners, visual learners. They like to visualize things. They love to watch things rather than talk about it or hear about it. So when we are presenting information to them, you should give it to them in the form of images and pictures. Summarize a chapter or condense a chapter in the form of diagram, map or charts or symbols. They'll understand it a lot better. They look into small details because they're visually good. They are good observers. They remember faces much better than remembering the names. Some of the techniques that visual learners can use to study well is to use colors. Color code your notes. When you're making notes or in your textbook, use highlighters, colors. Draw small symbols for important points, like put an asterisk or a star, and color code it. Color code your notes beautifully. This will help you when you revise your notes. This will get into your mind easily for visual learners, and you can write down the main topic or a formula or a definition on small cards known as flashcards. For flashcards, on one side you can write the name of the topic, and on the other side you can draw an image of it, or just write the formula in a colorful way or a definition with colors, so that you just have to have a set of cards ready for one chapter, and you can keep on revising it by checking these flashcards wherever you go. Keep it with you wherever you go, and you can just review them to get a quick outlook of what the chapter is all about. Another method is that you can use post-its, small sticky notes around the place that you're frequently going. Write down these things that you need to learn on small sticky notes, stick it onto your books or on the walls where you frequently go, like in your study room, near your study table or somewhere. Simply, when you walk around, just read it and go. Maybe you needn't intentionally read it, but glancing once or twice or many times on that will automatically get things into your head because you're visually good. These things get easily embedded in your brain when you see it. So these are some of the techniques. Color code your notes, use flashcards, and use sticky notes. The second group of people are called auditory learners. They prefer listening, hearing things rather than seeing or speaking or doing. They read things aloud. They remember things very easily, what others have said. They remember names better than faces. They understand the variation in your tone when you're speaking, and they understand things in that way. So when you tell something to them, when you present an information to them, they process it in their minds and rephrase it and tell it out in their own words. That's how they study. So for such people, you have to make sure that lectures, long lectures, classes, group discussions are the most important ways in which you're going to present information to them. They'll understand things much better by listening to information. They don't really like reading, but they love to be read to. വേറെ ആരെങ്കിലും വായിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുന്നതായിരിക്കും അവർക്ക് ഇച്ചിരി കൂടെ താല്പര്യം, rather than sitting and reading by themselves. ഇവർക്ക് യൂസ് ചെയ്യാവുന്ന കുറച്ച് ടെക്നിക്സ് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ, you can read aloud. When they study, they can read aloud and study. So they're listening to their voice. So that actually helps them to understand things better. Record what you study. When you're studying, if you are an auditory learner, when you're studying, record it in your phone or somewhere what you're studying, the points. And later when you simply sit or when you travel, just listening to these recordings will get things easily stuck into your brain. So nowadays we have audio books, right? Rather than sitting and reading books, audio books will really help them to understand, and they can picture a scenario like in a novel. When you're reading an audio book of a novel, they can understand that scene very well when they hear it rather than when they read it. So that is some of the techniques, like reading aloud, using lecture methods to teach them, recording their own voice and notes, and later listening to them. These are some of the techniques that auditory learners can use to study well. The third category of learners use the reading writing method. These are people who are very happy to be among books. They love to read. So they are usually found in libraries and all. They love to read, and they understand things only after reading it by themselves and writing it down in their own words. They make their own set of notes. So when you're giving them instructions, give it to them in the form of a written passage or in the form of lists. They'll understand it much better than seeing it in the form of an image or listening to it. They are very good spellers. They are really good with words. So when you give them a passage or a topic to study, they can summarize and condense it down into their own words beautifully. So they're good with compositions, and they're good with words, and they're good with spellings. The fourth category of learners are known as the kinesthetic learners. They are the hands-on learners. They need to do things. They cannot understand things by just seeing or reading them. They need to feel and experience and do it so as to learn better. So for such students, we cannot make them sit for long lectures and group discussions. They'll only sit for a very short period of time, and then they need to take breaks. Usually they are the ones who are known as the hyperactive children in class. They need to move around. Even while studying, they need to walk and read or study things. So for such children, role plays are a great method to teach them. Role plays, going for field trips, practicals, experiments, giving them projects to do as individually or as groups, engaging them in games, other ways in which you can take a topic to their mind. They easily get distracted, and they're not really good with words and reading and all. So don't expect them to sit for long. They will walk around in your class and at home when they are studying. They are basically kinesthetic learners, so they need hands-on experiences for everything. So those were the 4 different learning styles. You needn't be necessarily using one learning style all the time. You can keep changing your learning style depending on the kind of material that you're studying. It could also be a combination of these learning styles so as to understand the concept better. Each person uses a different way. Teachers, when you develop a lesson plan, make sure your lesson plan contains materials for all these 4 categories of learners. Then only your class will be effective. Then only the concept that you're trying to tell them will reach all of them. Parents, please make sure that you understand the learning style of your children so that we don't compare our child to another child. Each child has got a different way of learning, so that will avoid a lot of arguments and complaints and blamings. So that was today's small topic that I wanted to discuss. Hope you found it interesting. So keep watching for more videos. Thank you.